It's been 2 weeks since the NASCAR season concluded, and Corey is ready to pull his hair out. No racing on Sunday. What in the name of sweet Jesus is he going to do? We're going to talk about off-season shenanigans. Silly season, NASCAR in Nashville for the presentation of the championship banquet, and unfortunately, Kyle Busch, a WWE champion. All this and more. He's Corey, I'm Chris, and this is C&J Speedway Review. Welcome back to our first off-season edition of 2019 here on the C&J Speedway Review. My name is Chris Burns of the Loki and Jabroni Show and the C&J Speedway Review. And across the screen from me, a man who must be losing his ever-loving mind right now. No NASCAR, no problem for me. But for this man, no NASCAR, knocking over liquor stores. It's Corey Huffnagel. Corey, tell me, how many Korean groceries have you hit?
I could probably say none by the moment, but I will say this. I have been doing the math, and I think it's only about, I want to say 74, 73 days until Daytona. So believe me, the countdown is just has already begun ever since the championship race.
Now, NASCAR put up a deal on Instagram that said 75 days till Daytona, but when you count it out, that brings you right to the day. I never count the actual day because there you are. So technically, You are right. 74 days and then Daytona. So we're going to give the nod to Corey, the Statmeister Deluxe, the Nostradamus of all Nostradamuses.
Yes, of course.
And before we get into silly season, before we get into championship banquet, who we think is going to win most popular driver and why it should be Matt DiBenedetto, I would be remiss if I didn't start with this tonight. I woke up Tuesday morning having been sick for 2 days, and I'm getting ready to go to work. I'm flickering through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and I see a post that about knocked me back on my butt. Kyle Busch pins R-Truth to win the WWE 24/7 Championship. For those of you who don't know what that is the WWE has this championship. It is supposedly, according to their story, defended 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as you have a record. And if you have not seen the clip, it's pretty funny. Eddie got a kick out of it. We watched it last night. R-Truth comes running. He's got 6 dudes chasing him. He hides behind Kyle Busch and Mike Waltrip. The dudes go running away. Here comes, R-Truth coming back to life. He shakes hands with Kyle Busch. He goes to shake hands with Michael Waltrip. Mikey says, He opens up his jacket. He's got a referee shirt on. Kyle rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. Kyle Busch is your 24/7 champion. It was the dumbest thing, but Eddie and I both agree. And I don't know if you've seen the clip yet, but Michael Waltrip, if he wanted to, could easily be in the professional wrestling game. His facials were good. His mannerisms were great. He was the part. A lot better than a lot of current WWE roster members. It was cool to watch Mikey, but then again, as I'm watching this, I'm like, great, another reason I have to hate Kyle Busch. Now he's infiltrating, my Monday nights rather than just my Sundays. So this week, instead of just not my champion, we're going to add 24/7 underneath it. He did lose it back about an hour later on the broadcast. This is the dumbest championship of all, we're going to call it sports entertainment. The title was introduced in March. There have been 64 different title reigns. 24 of them have been R-Truth. This isn't what I like about it. It's kind of like, and Eddie said it best, if R-Truth suddenly, bum rushed a car, maybe Corey LaJoie's car, got it and went out and wrecked Kyle Busch and went on to win the race. Stop. I can't even say enough. Corey, tell me why you thought this was funny.
Well, I could just tell you this, it's basically, with, of course, the championship week, it's going to be in Nashville, of course. All the drivers are celebrating like the year and all that. But I thought it was kind of, it was cool that, that some of the drivers, did this whole WWE type of thing, whatever it is. But then on the other hand, it was funny that, Busch had the title for about, I don't know, let's say like maybe 5 minutes.
I don't know how long it was, but yeah, I pointed this out to Eddie on last night's Loki and Jabroni Show. I was big into wrestling way back in the day. Now, if I catch it, I catch it. If I don't, I don't. No big deal. No. But I got this book years ago from my parents, the WWE Encyclopedia, big, thick, huge coffee table sized book. And in it has like the title lineages, so I could go back and see, okay, Bob Backlund, Jimmy Snuka, Roddy Piper. We're talking about names that permeate society. Everybody, if I say Hulk Hogan, everybody knows who I'm talking about. If I say John Cena, everybody knows who I'm talking about. So you have these names, and you look at these lists that have names like, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Kyle Busch. 170 pounds, soaking wet with a brick in his pocket, beat a legit, okay, let me stop with the word legit, a bona fide professional sports entertainer. I know it's all garbage. I know it's all storyline, but hey, I like it. It's no different than a mob movie, guys. And to think, I'm glad it happened in Nashville, because had it happened on Monday, December 30th, while Emma and I are in the crowd in Hartford, Connecticut, I'd have grabbed her by the arm and taken her home. Come on, Em, we got to go. But the rest of the show, I don't care. Kyle Busch just won the title. We got to go. I'm not sitting around for that.
Oh man.
Of course, knowing my kid, on the way out, she'd probably be yelling FKB, FKB.
Right.
She'd start her own chant. It would be beautiful. But like you said, with them being with WWE being in Nashville, the NASCAR guys are in Nashville for the week for the championship banquet. It made sense to do some cross promotion, but for the love of Pete, don't let they had a guy from the Celtics win the championship in Boston some months ago when WWE was in Boston. Stop. Just stop. If you're not in that genre, don't play around. You're kind of pissing in the well for the rest of us.
Right.
Would Mike Tyson have taken a fall for Kyle Busch if, he was in Nashville? I don't think so.
I don't think he would either.
No. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. I'm glad you got a kick out of it. It burned my toast, and I was angry as hell. However, the show does go on, and here we are. The banquet is this week, and we are going to find out unequivocally who won most popular driver. Now, I know in my heart of hearts, I really do hope it's Matt Benedetto. However, I'm pretty sure, and I think you're just as sure, that we know already who's going to win most popular driver. Who do you think it is?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Chase Elliott.
I was going to say the same. And we already know with his retirement coming up next year, Jimmy Johnson will get that gimme vote. He'll walk away with the most popular driver. They did it. Junior won that legit fair and square for years and years and years.
Yeah.
The year that Senior died, I remember, who was it? Bill Elliott stepped aside and says, I don't even want to be on the ballot because he won for 16 years. I don't want to be on the ballot. Nope. Let's see what the crowd says, and they voted Senior. So I got to say though, the most popular driver, in my opinion, yes, the fan vote is nice, but people vote with their wallets. When you look at, say, they had the AMAs recently, I believe, the American Music Awards, and Taylor Swift walks home with Artist of the Decade. Hard to argue with that. Not only but concert tours, etc. People voting with the album sales, streams, downloads, etc. Taylor Swift is on fire, and ain't nobody going to put it out for a long, long time. That's how you figure out popularity. I like the vote, but at the same time, let's look at the money taken in on diecast, T-shirts, hats, etc., so forth. That's where you truly get the idea of who is the most popular driver. Do you honestly think that Chase Elliott is outselling some of these guys in merchandise?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, fair enough. I would, you and I have both been to those races. We see the sea of people, and, I like that it's a pretty split crowd. It used to be, Gordon and everybody else. So it's nice to see a deeper field, much like the 90s when I went to the races. You saw Earnhardt stuff, you saw Elliott stuff, you saw Wallace stuff, and then you saw everybody else.
Yeah.
So, that was a pretty competitive field. Nowadays, it's a little more spread out. You have your Elliott fans, your Larson fans, your Harvick fans, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch. Everybody is, not afraid to sport their gear. And again, voting with their wallets. Try walking up to a Kyle Busch or a Kevin Harvick hauler before a race. It's almost impossible. Same with Chase Elliott, though. Same with Kyle Larson. It's nice to see that people are spreading it out a little bit more. year after year after year. But this year, the push was on for Guido to win the most popular driver. And until they release the results, I would like to think that the fans of Matt DiBenedetto got out there in force and voted and voted and voted. If he's not in the top 5, I think there's something wrong with the voting.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you saw all those tweets and Facebook posts. I voted, and if you vote online and you post it, your vote counts twice. I saw more Matt DiBenedetto's Sirius. I call it his Sirius Racing page. Guido Nation is a fan page. But, man, he was collecting votes like nobody's business. And for a guy like him, he's got a good shot in the years to come to be most popular driver. But right now, nobody's beating Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Okay. So you wanted to talk about some bests and worsts. So what do you got in mind?
So, what I really want to talk about first, so I want to talk about news stuff. So do you remember what happened in 2013 with the whole Spingate thing, whatever it was?
Yes.
So back on November 27th, and this was like the day before, I think like one day before Thanksgiving. So NASCAR competition officials issued a significant penalty to Premium Motorsports, Rick Ware Racing, and Spire Motorsports for multiplying the result of the season finale race at Homestead. So, Scott Miller, NASCAR Senior Vice President of Competition, said that 4 teams were docked 50 points from the 2019 team owner standings for their role of alternating the finishing order of the race on November 17th. So, following through the race data of driver team communication from the season finale at Miami, as well as interviews with several competitors, NASCAR has determined that the numbers 15, 27, 52, and 77 violated sections 12.8.g and 12.1.8 of the NASCAR rulebook, which addresses multiplying the outcome of the race. As a result, those teams or violations have been penalized, listed in the penalty report. So, the report also indicates that Scott Eggleston, competition director of Premium Motorsports, and Kenneth Evans, who holds the same role of Rick Ware Racing, were both fined $25,000. Team owners Rick Ware, Jay Robinson of Premium Motorsports, and TJ Prutra, I can't even pronounce that last name, of Spire Motorsports were all fined $50,000. All 4 teams have been docked 50 points, deducted to their totals of the team's final standings. And, of course, let's see, the penalty of the 96 car elevates the top ranking opens of the 2019 season. So I could probably just say this, getting penalized now and some of the crew guys that have been suspended or something like that, it doesn't really worry them quite a bit because, had it would have been, during the season, it would have been a lot different. But that was one little news nugget that pretty much popped out. I think I'd say the weekend after the Homestead race. And it was kind of funny because I thought to myself, we saw what happened in 2013, but for this to happen with these low funded teams, it had me thinking okay, they always run in the middle of the pack anyway, but then yet again, why would they outcome the middle of the race anyway?
The fact that they waited nearly 2 weeks to do this kind of gives me a bad taste in my mouth. If you have this information, do it a little sooner. 2 weeks and now you're taking points away that they haven't even earned yet. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But hey, it's not my rule book. It's NASCAR's, and they can do what they want. But these teams should know, and if they're not smart enough to know, get out of the business. Is your communication is monitored not only by NASCAR, but how many fans in the stands have the yellow box, what is it?
Yeah.
The race pass or the scanners, of course. Yeah. I love them. I get them every time I go. And you can, I remember, and I talk about this often with people at the New Hampshire race. I want to say it was 2011 or no, 2012. I'm sorry.
12.
Within the first on his show, Marcus Ambrose is just bumping him. We're less than 6 laps in, and we have it on a loop, my friend and I, all our favorite drivers, and Harvick radios cues up, and it says, if Ambrose gets into me one more time, I'm just going to turn him. I'm not doing this for 301 laps. Sure as heck, they come out of 4. Ambrose bumps him. Harvick waits a little bit, gets up in that quarter panel, spins him. Ambrose is out. But you say, and he got fined for that, if I'm not mistaken, because he announced his intention. I'm going to spin him. Wasn't an accident, and even if it is intentional, don't announce your plans. It's that simple. NASCAR is listening. MRN, PRN, they're listening. Whoever's broadcasting the race on television, how many times do they say, okay, you remember what happened here on lap 256? Let's go to the radio and listen in on Kyle Larson. Yeah, this thing and the stuff and the whatnot. Everyone's listening.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for you guys to be talking, okay, I need the 52 to drop back to fifth, because if 52 drops back to fifth, then 15 is now in second, and everything works, and we win, and yay, and guys, stop being so blatantly obvious and stop being so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is there to say? You're basically telling the world, I'm about to cheat. Not even Bill Belichick does that.
Right.
See, I thought I'd get you on that one. By the way, I always like to pick on you, and I'm going to do it now instead of at the tail end of the show. Always good to watch Alabama lose, but it's even better to watch them lose twice.
Oh, jeez.
I
knew you were going to bring that up.
I had to.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
It was a great run from 3-13. I'm like, I haven't seen a fall like that since Owen Hart back in '99. But wow.
No, I mean, I will say, it was a good game. It came down to the end, and, it was a high-scoring game at first, but, but that one little hoopla penalty, which, there were too many men on the field, that just cost us, and, the rest was history.
Well, I understand, and I'm sure you'll be watching with, wondering eyes later in the season as Ohio State hoists the national championship. But moving on back to racing, again, in this case, I think they should be penalized. I like the fines. I like the owner points being knocked off, but you can't penalize a team on points they didn't earn yet, which I think you said at the beginning of the season they're going to be docked some points or what have you going forward. That's dumb. That's dumb. Take it away from what they did in 2019, because the offense happened in 2019. It's not like baseball where if a guy gets popped for steroids in July and the season ends, he can pick up the rest of that suspension at the beginning of the season next year.
Right.
It isn't like that. If they had suspended these guys in, say, Martinsville, or given them some sort of penalty, say, all right, crew chief is on a 5-race suspension. Well, that leads into Daytona and on. That I can deal with.
Right.
But, man, the season's already over. You can't change what was. You can't rewrite history, and no matter what they say, it's good that somebody got penalized, but I don't like that forward penalization. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make sense either.
All right, what else you got on the ticket tonight?
All right, so we were also talking during the week, so I guess Stuart Friesen and the 52 team are going to be partnering with Toyota in 2020, and apparently it looks like Hallmeyer Racing is going to be partnering with Kyle Busch Motorsports. So I kind of think about this, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, so basically Kyle Busch Motorsports is going to have a fourth truck, probably a 4-truck, whatever it is, and so forth. But here's my little nugget fact for you kids. Guess how many races Toyota won in the Truck Series this year? They won about 12.
I was going to say 13, but you are right.
And then guess how many races Chevrolet won?
12.
10.
Okay, I was close.
And you want to know how many races Ford won?
6. 1. Okay.
Yeah, and the only Ford win that happened this year was with Johnny Sauter when he won at Dover. So I kind of thought about this, and I think to myself, we all saw what Stuart Friesen did this year. He won 2 races. He had the breakout win at Eldora, and I would probably say that this was probably the best breakout year for the 52 team, that I've ever seen, before. And now, next year, when he goes to Toyota, don't be surprised if, he wins more than 2 races next year, because think about it. He's getting alliances with Kyle Busch Motorsports, who honestly, quite, and you can't argue about this, but, of course, Kyle Busch Motorsports won their 7th Owners Championship, which you can't argue with that. But, of course, with them being aligned with that powerhouse team, I think it's going to be fun for him to watch next year. I think this is going to be probably the best season that, that Stewart's going to have, and I really think this will probably be his best shot at going to the championship four. And quite honestly, I think this will probably be the best shot for him to win the championship because let's face it, Toyota was dominant last year. And of course, had Austin Hill would have made it into the championship four, he could have easily been your champion, no doubt.
Right. And like you mentioned, it's his best. I wanted to say that as well. It's his best shot at a championship, aligning himself with Kyle Busch Motorsports. And, which has been truck to beat in the series, it just makes sense. What bothers me is that with more and more teams switching to Toyota, it almost seems as if Ford is getting phased out of the truck series.
Oh, without a doubt, because if you look at what happened this year, with Ford, they only won like one race this season. I mean, there was times where they were competitive, but then yet again, they just couldn't keep up, with the Chevrolets and the Toyotas. And I just kind of look at it, the fact that Thorosport, has been the Ford, and then also with other guys that have been with Ford. I mean, let's face it, Ford is just basically dying out. And I think the only manufacturers that you're going to have to stick with, in the trucks are probably going to be Chevrolet and Toyota.
Does this open the door for another truck manufacturer like Dodge to come back into NASCAR and ease their way onto the truck series?
I mean, I do want to see Dodge come back, but it's going to be quite impossible for them to come back. I mean, it's going to take them funding, and of course, it's going to take, okay, what teams do you think are going to go with Dodge, or what teams do you think are going to stick with them? But yeah, I really want to see them come back, but I just don't see them coming back anytime sooner.
Okay, that makes sense. And I look at it, going back to when I first started watching racing, you had a proliferation. You had Chevy, you had Ford, you had Pontiac, you had Buick, you had Oldsmobile, and the Olds and the Buicks were phased out first, and then as time went on, the Pontiacs were phased out, and here come the Dodges.
Yeah.
Then Toyota comes in, and the Dodges are phased out. So on the Cup Series, you have that three-headed monster: Ford, Chevy, Toyota.
Yeah.
Somewhat Xfinity Series, but on the Truck Series, when most people think of trucks, they think of Chevy or Ford. Toyota and the TRD has made great strides in making that Tundra a force to reckon with on the series. Believe me, not a lot of people took Toyota seriously when they came into NASCAR. Everybody cried, well, it's a foreign car made in America, but let's forget about that. It ain't Chevy, it ain't Ford, it ain't crap. Well, they're kicking the snot out of everybody, so I guess you're wrong again. But look, everybody's allowed their opinion. My opinion is a race with Ford is better than a race without Ford. Many drivers that I've rooted for over the years have driven Fords and won in Fords. Rusty Wallace, Kevin Harvick, the list goes on and on. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville and that Thunderbat, that McDonald's Batman theme from 95, 96. It's just so gorgeous. Lots of great drivers have come through in a Ford. Ford and racing go hand in hand. To see them being phased out of the Truck Series just does not bode well for the Blue Oval. Is it a matter of time before that permeates the other two divisions?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, at the beginning of the season, if you remember, we were talking about Chevy domination, Toyota domination. Ford just can't find the speed. Ford just can't find this. And it seemed once they had that car figured out, they came in strong in the second half of the season. I don't know why it didn't translate on the Gander Outdoor Truck Series, but for the love of Pete, I don't want to see Ford go away.
I really don't.
Not on the Truck Series anyway.
I mean, I think it's gonna be impossible for Ford to go away, but I just don't see him going away anytime sooner. But actually, a little known interesting fact was, you know what series actually started with Toyota?
The Truck Series.
The Truck Series in 2004.
That's right. I remember that Tundra. I can't remember who drove it though. Darn it.
Yeah. I know Travis Kvapil. Kvapil won a couple races with Toyota. I know the very next year, Mike Skinner won a couple races in Toyota, and then Bodine won in a Toyota. And then 2007, that was when Toyota went up to the Xfinity Series and then the Cup Series. And And that year, it looked as if, Toyota did pretty good in Xfinity, but then in Cup, they pretty much struggled until, I don't know, let's say after like 2007, when Joe Gibbs decides, okay, I'm going to switch manufacturers to Toyota. And look where Toyota's gone from 2007 to now.
Oh,
They've won a bunch of races. They've won 2 championships. I don't know, 2 or 3 championships. I can't even count like at the top of my head, but they've won championships. They've won Xfinity titles and so forth. But I just look at it, for them to start off in the trucks and to come to where they are now, it's just incredible.
What was the make of the '78 Furniture Row Racing car? Was that a Toyota?
At first, it was a Chevrolet.
Okay, but when he won the championship Truex in 2017, was that a Toyota?
Yes.
Okay, then they have 3 championships by my count. Yep. 2 with Kyle, 1 with Truex.
Yep.
It wouldn't hurt to get more manufacturers out there, but then again, even on the Xfinity Series and on the Cup Series, you have to fight the big 3 now. It's not going to be easy. But the sport changes so often, it wouldn't surprise me if one day we saw another manufacturer come in.
Well, there was rumors that the Honda might be coming in.
Yeah, I did hear that, and I'm not quite sure. It would take a while. Again, much easier way. You don't just throw Hondas out there against the Cup guys. I don't care if Robert Yates is building your engines. I don't care if Hendrick is providing you chassis. Come in first year, you're not going to make a dent. You have to find your footing somewhere else.
Of course.
What else you got?
Okay, so let me pull up my little news gimmick and stuff. So
listen to you with the gimmick.
Yep. All right, so Stewart-Haas Racing has announced that they are going to have their crew chief lineup for 2020. So even though that Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick are still going to be the driver pair for the number 4 team next year, so there has been changes for the 10 and the 14 team as well as the 41. So the 10 and the 14 have swapped crew chiefs. So now Mike Bugger Ravage is going to be the crew chief for Eric Almirola's Cup team. And of course, let's see, Johnny Klossmeyer is going to be the crew chief for Clint Boyer's 14 team. And for the rookie Cole Custer's 41, so Mike Shiplett, who is the crew chief for the Xfinity Series, he will now be the crew chief for the 41 team in the Cup Series next year. So I kind of look at this crew chief lineup, and I thought to myself, okay, I like, that Harvick and Childress are going to be together, but it's going to be interesting, with the 10, the 14, if these guys can pick up speed. And not only that, hopefully they can win races next year. I mean, I can just tell you this, Custer and Mike Shiplett, I think that's also a good fit too, but I'm just going to be interested on seeing, what the 10 and the 14 can do in 2020.
Okay. And, a crew chief shakeup is never a bad thing. We've seen it inspire some, and we've seen it, deflate others. The worst thing to do is be mid-season and hear, all right, the 4 team is going to the 10 and the 10 team's coming to the 4. That's all well and good, but it's like, all right, the Patriots are trading with the Browns. So the Browns, come on into New England. You're going to be the new England Patriots. And Tom, get your stuff. Get on the bus. You're going to Cleveland. Welcome to the dog pound.
Yeah.
You spend time and time and time working within the system, and now your whole system changes. That takes time, much like we just talked about with the manufacturers, to learn a new crew chief, a new crew, their timing, your timing. What do you like? How do they want you to be? Everybody has to work together. You're not helping the matter doing it mid-season. Doing it now is the best thing they could have done, my opinion.
Of course.
In your opinion, which one is the best move?
I'm going to say, I am going to say probably the 10 team.
Okay, yeah, I was going to agree with that.
Yeah, 10 team would have to say the best move, yeah.
All right. So, more. Give me the news.
So, of course, Anthony Alfredo, who was in the Truck Series this year, so I guess he is going to be running a part-time schedule for Richard Childress's Xfinity Series team. So he is going to be sharing the ride along with Mike Snyder, driving the team's 21 car next season. So, and also it's kind of funny because I was looking at the 2020's Xfinity depth chart, with the only fact that that you have the big three that are all going to Cup, Custer, Reddick, and Christopher Bell. Just think about it. Next year you're going to have guys like Justin Allgaier, you're going to have Ross Chastain, and then you're going to have the rookies, Harrison Burton, Riley Herbst, and then everybody else. It's just pretty much kind of like a hit and miss. And then of course you also have Noah Gragson. Then you got Michael Annett as well. So I kind of thought about this. I'm thinking to myself, I really think next year's Xfinity Series championship, it's going to come down between Justin Allgaier and Ross Chastain. So if I would have had to pick one of those right now, I'm going to say Ross Chastain is pretty much the easy pick to win the title next year. Because just think about it, this kid's only won like 2 Xfinity races. He's won a lot of races in the trucks. And now that he's going to a good ride for Collie Racing next year, I kind of thought about it. I thought to myself, with no big three next year, I think this is either Allgaier or Ross Chastain's championship to lose.
Well, that's a bold statement before we run even one lap in 2020, but I do see where you're going with it. Losing the big three, you have a chance to perhaps create a new big three. Allgaier and Chastain are certainly going to be the anchors of that. Is there someone you see coming up, whether a rookie or someone who showed some flash this year, that could round out that big three in the Xfinity Series?
I'm actually kind of interested to see how Harrison Burton's going to do in Xfinity. So he was another kid that I was watching this year. He had some good runs. And then, of course, when I was at the race in New Hampshire, he had, I'd probably say like a top 5 run until he got taken out. So, but the fact that, you're moving him up to the Xfinity Series after running 1 year in the Truck Series, and especially, you're running for Joe Gibbs Racing, which, of course, you're replacing Christopher Bell's ride. That one, it's going to be very interesting to me, how he's going to play out. But in all, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets off to a good start, the season.
Does he collect a win this year?
I'm going to say yes.
I would agree with you. Burt in his limited schedule on the Xfinity Series, so put him in there full time, and I think you're going to see exactly what he's capable of. Chastain, if he says he's going for the full Monty in the Xfinity Series this year, if he doesn't wait until July, the whole rigmarole that we went through last time.
Right.
Yes, I will put Chastain in that big three, but of course you have to look at, like you said, Justin Allgaier, championship 4 this year, had a really good run, and then getting that magic win to propel himself in. Yeah, that's somebody worth watching.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick update for you guys, because I want you guys to know that the man across the screen from me is a man of his word. As you know, the picks did not go Corey's way, and I sent him a link, and he did say that it's on its way. Yep. So as soon as it comes in, I will wear it on the show. And I do, guys, I want to tell you, just that's a man of his word. I can't say enough good things about Corey. So, Corey, big thumbs up to you, my friend.
Thank you. And I know welcome. How much you wanted that shirt too. So thank you for sending that out to me. And it's actually funny because I knew you wanted an MRN shirt, and of course, when you saw our shirts, that was the only. I was mad
as hell.
I remember that moment, and then after that, it was just basically like the next 3 weeks. It was just whatever and all that, But hey, don't worry. The MRN shirt is coming. So as soon as it gets to my house, I will easily ship it to your house. No sweat.
And it's a pretty badass design. If you guys want to see it, maybe we'll put a picture of it up on the CJ Speed Review Facebook page. I looked far and wide to find one that wasn't exactly like yours, because you stole my gimmick, you rat bastards. Right. So I wanted something very much different. And when I saw that one, I was like, this is cool. So I do have to say to you guys, while you're here, not an official sponsor of this show, but a sponsor of the network, if you guys are interested in quality stitched professional jerseys, MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, or even college football, college basketball, we have your hookup. Our friends at Throwback Prices want to give you quality jerseys that you would buy anywhere else for $150 at ridiculously low throwback prices. Some as low as $40, never more than $60. If you want a piece of this, email Corey and I will get you in touch with Harry the Hammer, and we will get you the jersey that you want. As a side note, this coming Tuesday, a week from yesterday, we are going to give one away on the Loki and Jabroni show, courtesy of Harry the Hammer. So, Corey, since you are not affiliated technically with the Loki and Jabroni show, you could be in the running for a free jersey. Details to follow.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. What else you got on that news feed?
So we don't know yet, who the most popular driver is going to be in the Cup Series, but do you want to hear who got the most popular driver in the Trucks and Xfinity?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to read this off one by one. So Xfinity Most Popular Driver Award went to Justin Allgaier.
Wow. Totally did not see that coming. I thought it would be Bell or Custer easily.
I thought it was going to be those three guys. I really thought it was going to be that. That was probably the funny part, how they put Justin Allgaier, that won the Most Popular Driver Award. So I thought, okay, so he won the race at Phoenix, goes to Homestead, boom, hooray for him. But then of course things didn't go his way in the championship race. But no, I mean, I thought it was good that he got the award, and couldn't say enough.
Yeah. Look, he was consistent all year. He's one of those guys, and we talk about guys like this a lot. You never hear someone say, "I hate Justin Allgaier."
No.
You either love him or you like him. You have an opinion on him. But again, it goes back to a guy like Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson. Never a bad thing to say. He's not polarizing like a Kevin Harvick, like a Kyle Busch, like a Jimmy Johnson. I'm out there. I'm going to run hard. I'm going to try to win races. I'm just going to do my best week after week. Not that they're all not doing that, but it doesn't make a spectacle of himself. That is what I like in a race car driver. And to hear that it's Justin Allgaier, most popular driver Xfinity Series, congratulations. Good job.
Congrats.
Now, do we have a Truck Series most popular?
Okay, so the Most Popular Driver Award in the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series went to Ross Chastain.
Wow. Again, another surprise. Wouldn't have saw it. Would not have seen that coming. I could have seen a Stuart Friesen or a Matt Crafton. But again, another guy.
Yeah.
You just go, with the exception of the dust-up with Harvick at Darlington some time ago.
Yeah.
And that was again, Harvick's fault. And I said it, and I gave him a mouthful right here on the show. Ross Chastain, just another guy, goes out there. He doesn't rattle too many cages. He's likable. So good for him.
Right. And I kind of picture Chastain as like Brad Keselowski almost. He races tough. He says whatever he says, about racing, whatever it is. But I think this one, I think this was a good pick. I think this was, and for him to go to Xfinity next year, to compete for the championship, I couldn't say anything enough about him. Of course, he could have won the Truck Series title this year, had a good shot. But again, this year, it was kind of odd, how he decides to switch, series is like late, I'd probably say like mid part of the season. And then, of course, everybody thought, okay, well, he's just basically starting his season all over again. So then that turns into like 5 wins, goes to the championship 4, almost wins the title. But, then yet again, like you just can't argue the fact that, he had a good season, and this is a kid that, that's trying to make a name for himself. And for him to go to college racing next year, I think he's going to impress some people. I really think he is.
Now, with college racing, do they have a technical alliance with anybody?
I believe they have a technical alliance with Richard Childress Racing.
Okay, not bad at all. You're one of the most historic and winningest teams ever. Yeah, good job. Awesome. It's going to be a good year for Mr. Chastain.
Of course.
Should he decide that the Truck Series is going to be his go-to again next year, which I think it should. I think it's where he shines the brightest. It's his best chance at a championship right now anyway. And who knows where it could lead. It could lead him to full-time Xfinity. I know he's dabbled in the Cup a little bit over the years. But again, slow and steady wins in this sport. Not a lot of guys come up and make it big right out of the rip.
No, not at all.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, then I have to excuse myself for like 3 minutes. Little goings on upstairs that I have to take care of. Again, we just talked about most popular driver on the 2 Series. We both kind of agree that Chase Elliott is going to be unanimous as the most popular driver. Going back in time and seeing guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr. win it year after year, Bill Elliott winning it year after year. Give me about 3 minutes. Give the people 3 minutes, and I'll watch this back later. Is Chase Elliott the next guy to be multiple years, 5, 6, as much?
Okay, so is Chase Elliott the guy that is going to be multiple most popular driver award, series champion, or whatever it is? So part of me, on this one, really wants to say yes. And of course, with Chase Elliott, of course, he is the son of NASCAR champion Bill Elliott, which of course, Bill Elliott won the most popular driver award. I don't know, let's say 16 times, whatever it is. I think I'm doing my math right, whatever it is and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, like, part of me wants to say yes, but if you kind of think about it, there is going to be some guys, in the Cup Series that, could possibly be the most popular driver award. I mean, with Jimmy Johnson, that's going to be retiring at the end of next year. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the most popular driver award and whatnot. But I want to look at Chase Elliott's stats for a second. And, and you guys can chime in on this too. So we're pretty much on YouTube. But anyways, so looking at Chase Elliott's career stats in Cup. He has 6 career wins, 44 top 5s, 74 top 10s, and an average finish of 13.9. So if you look at his stats this season, he had 3 wins, 11 top 5s, and 15 top 10s. So let's just say, guys, it was a good season. I still don't know how he won the Charlotte Roval race, even though he hit the tire barrier, whatever it is, and so forth. But I don't know. I want to say, I want to say that, I think he should win. I think he's got a good shot, maybe winning multiple most popular driver awards. But let's face it, guys, there's going to be some good drivers that are going to be coming up pretty soon, and then also in the near future. But I'm also looking at guys, kind of like William Byron, who took over, the 24 car, which of course, which was famously for years, was run by Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson, I definitely want to see him win the most popular driver award, starting next year. But I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. But, if it does turn out to be like, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Bill Elliott winning it multiple times, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Of all of that, I caught Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure whatever you said was great. I will watch it back later on this evening because I'm curious to hear how you came to that conclusion, but won't ask you to repeat it. Do we have any other news to cover before we knock down tonight's show?
All right. So I don't think I mentioned this on the show. So there are pretty much 5 drivers to watch that could possibly replace Jimmy Johnson in 2021. Mm-hmm. So drivers that are, and of course, my thing is just trying to load, but it's not going to be loading anytime sooner. All right. So I'm going to give you the 5 drivers that could possibly replace them, and I want you to give your opinion.
Sure.
So candidate number 1 would be William Byron. Yes or no, would he take over Jimmy Johnson's ride?
I'm going to say no, only because Byron is firmly entrenched in his own car. He's becoming that 24, much like Bowman is the 88, much like Elliott is the 9. I know we did the switch with Elliott moving to the 9 in honor of his father, but the back and forth, I don't see it happening. I think William Byron is a long-term Hendrick driver. I'm going to say this is about a 20% possibility.
So part of me on this, wants to say yes, but then I kind of thought, I think it would be better, if Byron would stay in the 24, but again, Byron is a Hendrick driver, so I don't know, but I probably say no. I think he stays in the 24 as it is.
Good job. I love that answer.
Yeah. All right. So
next one.
Candidate number 2, Ryan Blaney.
Interesting. Now, Blaney right now is running the 12 car for Roger Penske.
Yep.
Has had some success there, but I don't quite know when his contract comes up. He's young. We know he can win. We know he's championship worthy. That's a pretty good one, but I'm going to give it higher marks than I gave to William Byron. Not again, and this is all speculation on my part because I don't quite know when Blaney's contract is up or if Penske will let him go to one of their great competitors in Hendrick Motorsports. I'm going to say this is 60% possible.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like if you get a call from Hendrick Motorsports and they ask you, to drive the 48 car, would you do it? I mean, I would probably say yes.
If I'm a race car driver, yes, but I also have to realize I have contractual responsibilities, and it's kind of, I don't want to put this in a vulgar way, but it's kind of ass-tastic if, you're going to a guy who gave you your break and say, hey, I know I've won here. I know you've given me all this great equipment, but Hendrick wants me. Can you release me? It just stinks of, it just stinks. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, like, I would want to say yes on the Blaney part. And, of course, during Blaney's Cup career, he's won some races where, you don't really expect him to win. But then yet again, like, he's sometimes there, like, at the end, when it matters the most. I mean, look at what happened at Talladega this year. He was in the back of the pack. And then he was, like, near the front, at the end, made the last lap pass on Ryan Newman, whatever it is. I can go back to the Charlotte Roval race a year ago, when Johnson and Truex, those guys collided coming out of the last corner, and look who comes out of the last turn, none other than Ryan Blaney. But, I mean, I want to say that, I think he would be a good pick, but I don't know. Part of me is saying that, I think he's going to stay with Ford, or if, he gets released and somebody, decides to take over Blaney's ride in Penske, quite honestly, maybe Austin Cindric, but I don't know. That one, kind of interests me the most, but it's probably going to be a no.
Okay, moving on.
All right.
Number 3.
Candidate number 3, Erik Jones.
Oh, Lord. Okay, where do I start with Erik Jones, other than the fact that he has a really cool last name?
See,
go ahead.
See, so I'm just going to say this, like, real quick. So part of me, it's probably going to be a no because, I think he's just going to stay with Toyota and I think he's going to stay with Gibbs. So to me, I don't think he would be the good candidate to take over that ride.
See, and as just before you said that, when you said Erik Jones, I already wrote down my percentage. You are already with a top-notch, probably if you're looking at the last 4 to 5 years, the number one group in all of Cup racing with Joe Gibbs Racing. You don't leave that. That would not be an upward move. That would be a sideways move. You don't leave McDonald's to go work at Burger King. You're not going to leave Chevy to work for Ford, and you're not going to leave Joe Gibbs Racing to race for Rick Hendrick. I don't care how historic it is. You are racing for the series symbol of excellence right now in Joe Gibbs Racing. I gave it 10%, and I'm highballing.
Yeah, but let's be honest, you're racing with a really top team, that just won the championship, but then yet again, the only car that's just running like in the middle of the pack right now is the 20 team, but of course, they do have 2 wins in their pocket, which of course they won the Southern 500 Labor Day weekend, and then of course the July race at Daytona last year. So, I mean, it would be surprising if he takes over that ride, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, so right now, leading the list of the 3 out of the 5 right now is Ryan Blaney, looking like the top competitor, who is behind door number 4.
All right, so the last 2 are going to be very interesting, but I'm going to go with candidate number 4.
Okay.
All right, candidate number 4, and this one might be a little surprising, but Brad Keselowski.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Now, do you remember when Keselowski was racing for Dale Jr.'s Xfinity team in like 2008 and 2009? So everybody thought that Keselowski was going to be the top prospect for Hendrick Motorsports, and then look what happens. Here comes Mark Martin. Of course, he takes over the 5 car. He comes up Okay, I'm hearing myself an echo right now.
I hear you twice.
Yeah, it's an echo. I don't know why that happened. But anyway, and look what happened in 2010 was none other than Mark Martin who took over that 5 car. So now what does Keselowski do? He ends up going to Team Penske. And he ended up going there, and not only that, wins an Xfinity championship, won a Cup Series championship. Now, this one to me, this one's kind of surprising on my part. Now, it doesn't really surprise me quite a bit because let's face it, he would have been the top prospect for Hendrick Motorsports in like 2010, had Mark Martin not take over that ride. Now, I'm just going to say this. If Keselowski announces in 2020 that he leaves Penske to go to Hendrick Motorsports, I'm okay with that. I really think, Hendrick should pick a guy that runs good, that's capable of winning races and win a championship. I would want Hendrick Motorsports to pick a guy, and pardon my language, but I wouldn't want, Hendrick Motorsports to pick a guy, that's going to run like half-ass, like during like throughout the whole entire field. No, this one's going to be the hardest one to choose because, Hendrick's going to be looking at guys that, that are going to say like, okay, which one should we pick, that's going to run good, that's going to win a championship for us. And honestly, I just got to say this, if I'm going to raise my percentage up a bit, and I know you're going to raise your percentage up too, I'm going to give Keselowski maybe a 70% chance that he probably takes over the 48 in 2021.
Okay. I wrote this number down just willy-nilly, and it doesn't mean anything, but I'm going to take your dissertation and move it one step further. You look at a guy like Terry Labonte, who was running for, whomever it was back in 1984 and wins a championship, and everybody thought Terry Labonte was on the downswing until Rick Hendrick came calling and put him in that number 5 Cornflakes car. He wins a second championship. Ultra competitive up through and including his last full season on the circuit. You look at guys like Mark Martin, who went through Hendrick. You look at guys like Casey Kane, who went through Hendrick. Even Kyle Busch ran for Hendrick.
Yeah.
They have a nose for talent. We've talked about Hendrick kind of being teetering right now. You have Chase Elliott, who has real potential to be a big-time force in the sport. Of course, Byron and Bowman, they're both still getting their feet wet. So 2020 comes to a close. We're in Phoenix. The confetti is there and the fireworks, and someone's holding up and not knowing the contractual stipulation of Brad. He's still got, in my opinion, 10 to 12 good years on the track. I wrote down 71.3%, and it's just a willy-nilly number because I wanted it to be different. But I'm going to go with 70%, much like you. You want to fill the car of a champion, put another champion in it. That might be the best pick. The people it will upset the most are all the people who have been big Brad Keselowski boosters wearing that blue deuce, and now they have to wear the 48, and they're just going, oh, for years I rooted against this number, and now here I am wearing a big old 48 on my chest. So yeah, big time shakeup right there. But for what it's worth, it could work.
I think it can be.
All right, candidate number 5.
All right, candidate number 5, last but not least, and this one also might be surprising too, but Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson. Okay. With Larson, he's had great success with Ganassi. Yes, he had 2 seasons, the 2018 and 2019 campaigns, where he wasn't at his best. You go back to that 2017 run where it was the Larson and Truex show.
Yeah.
Last couple of years have been really interesting for Kyle Larson. I think, and I'm going to give this one the highest percentage. I'm going to give this a 75% chance of happening for one reason. If Ganassi doesn't give that 42 car really good equipment, give him the best chance every week of winning, he's going to want to move somewhere where he can collect wins and possibly that championship. So it's going to come down to, in my opinion, Keselowski and Larson.
See, I kind of look at that and I thought to myself, all right, now I know Larson's a Chevrolet driver, and of course, Kurt Busch is coming back to Ganassi, but probably like maybe for like next year. We don't know what 2021 is going to have in store too, but I just look at Kyle Larson. I mean, yeah, this is a kid that, that knows how to run the Highline really well, that knows how to drive a really loose race car. And yeah, this past year, he had the one win, but then again, he just wasn't collecting wins and he wasn't running competitive like we saw in 2017. But I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting too. And I do agree. Like, I think it's going to come down between Keselowski and Kyle Larson, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see who Johnson's replacement's going to be in 2021.
And again, I'm going to say it like this. Again, not knowing Keselowski's contractual agreement, nor knowing Larson's. Keselowski, look, he won 5 races this year. He was a championship contender, almost made that Final Four if it wasn't for that, crash in Texas and other things happening to him in the 10 race playoff run. Larson wasn't even a thought. Yes, he won at Dover, he moves himself on, but Kyle Larson was an afterthought, and he's been an afterthought the entire 2019 season. Watch 2020. And as we watch 2020 from Daytona all the way to Phoenix in November, keep a real good close eye on Kyle Larson, whether you have him in the picks, whether you root for him. I say if he doesn't win 2 or 3 races with Ganassi this year, he's going to want out.
Yeah, I do agree too.
All right. So anything you want to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people?
Well, so keep following us on the C&J Speedway Review. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook and then also Twitter. And then Twitter, I can't hear this echo, man.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is.
All right, let's just see if we can't kick that echo. So all of you get double the show, man. This is great.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, so Twitter, make sure you guys go to CJ_Speedway. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And then, of course, make sure you guys follow us on Facebook. Don't forget to hit the like. And, of course, make sure you guys get subscriptions. Well, make sure you guys get notifications and all that. And also YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell button. And make sure you guys follow our YouTube page as well. So that's pretty much all I got to talk about. And then I will say this, happy belated birthday to Zach Kuhn, who, of course, who might be watching tonight. So I was supposed to take him down to go go-karting, which, of course, I was supposed to have my go-karting event on Sunday. But due to the snowstorm, it is going to be on the last Saturday of December. And, guys, this is why I don't do go-karting events in the wintertime, because you never know when the snow is going to hit, and you never know when it's going to be cold. And this is probably like the worst time to do it during the year. But other than that, guys, so December 19th, I'm going to be treating Zach to a Bruins game. So that's as part of his birthday present. So happy birthday to him for his present from me. But anyways, anyways, guys, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and and also happy belated birthday to Zach. And so, yeah, that's basically all I got. And then other than that, of course, Alabama season's over. We fell down to 12th in the college football voting poll and stuff. So this year just wasn't our year, but I will say this, congratulations to the guys that are going to be in the top 4 and the guys that are going to be in the conference title games this weekend. So once the final voting is set, I don't know who I'm going to be picking to go to the national championship, but we'll just have to see what happens. But hey, other than that, the Patriots lost a doozer on Sunday night.
Yeah, I watched that game. It was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So then again, so was the Falcons on Thanksgiving. First of all, happy birthday, Zach. I hope you have a great time with whatever Corey's giving and presenting and taking you to. And don't get drunk. And that's my advice to you. But also, we have since we won't see you for 2 weeks, I do want to throw a very special birthday shout out to someone very near and dear to my heart. Lifelong friend of mine, Probably the funniest and coolest guy I know. So this Sunday, when you guys are all gathered around your TVs watching football or whatever it is you do on Sunday, I want you to crack open a cold beer and say, "Happy birthday, Jabroni." Yes, it's my birthday on Sunday.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And if you are friends with me on Facebook, please, I told people I don't want a darn thing this year. I put up one of those like donated my birthday things, and I looked and looked and looked until I found something I really liked. So if everyone on my friends list donates $1 to National Suicide Prevention Hotline, that would be great. Yes. I won't go into the spiel here. You can read all about it on my page. But everyone's that want to talk them off the ledge, and if we can be that someone, then let's do it, man. Let's keep people alive.
That's true. I like that.
All right. So in 2 weeks, hopefully, we'll have Jason Blue here with us to give us his off-season silly shenanigans and things of that sort. Joey Ternulo will be here in January with his silly shenanigans and talk of his 2020 race season. Hopefully going to be a good one for him this year. But for right now, somewhere, Chelsea, he loves you. But now Corey's going to give us the most famous 2 words in Speedway history.
Buenos noches.
Every week. I love it.
And yes, Chelsea, I do love you.
Oh, Christ. I hope he stopped it before that.